selling is. As he was starting out in sales, Mike Kaplan wanted to find a set of principles that would apply to all sales techniques and help him reach his full potential. He decided to dedicate a lot of his time to learning from the top experts in the field. The goal of sales is for the customer to end up owning the product or service, and Mike found that the process has three main stages: pre-presentation, presentation, and close. If one of these steps falters, the sale may fail. Mike further divided these three essential stages into the 8-step roadmap, which is a detailed sales plan that works in most industries and scenarios. A salesperson needs to be persistent and occasionally assertive, as it is uncommon to succeed on the first attempt. However, you should not push customers beyond their boundaries or out of their comfort zone. You can learn to achieve this balance through practice sessions with a friend or coworker. There are 3 different roles in sales: order takers, presenters, and closers. Order takers process orders and fulfill purchase requests without actively persuading customers. Presenters deliver information to customers about whatever is being sold. Closers specialize in sealing the deal and have full control over each step of the sales process. They leave nothing to chance and possess exceptional skills of persuasion. The introduction. The first step in the 8-step roadmap to a sale is an introduction. Always start by getting acquainted with your customer. At this stage, your goal should not be to make a sale. Instead, you should aim to understand what the customer is seeking. When making a call, start with a brief introduction and offer a compelling reason for making contact to grab the prospect's attention. Include your name, position, and company. Make sure the prospect wants you to ask questions and explain what you are offering. Be precise, clear, and positive. Avoid revealing the price too early, and focus instead on establishing the benefits of your product. Practice different variations of your introduction as well as your pitch, and make note of what you think works best. If you do not get an answer, leaving a voicemail can maximize the chances of the customer calling back. The message should be very clear and straight to the point. It should motivate the customer to call you back. Qualification. The second step is deciding whether your prospect qualifies as an appropriate customer for your product. You need to determine quickly whether prospects are likely to use your product and would be willing to purchase it. However, lack of interest at this stage does not necessarily mean a prospect is unqualified. You need to ask a series of questions to properly assess a prospect. You can even begin your assessment before you talk to anyone. This means taking note of demographics and the person's role in the buying process. Once you are on a personal level, you can ask your targets about the company they work for, what their hobbies are, and how they usually handle a problem that your product solves. It is important to make this step as conversational as possible. Your prospects should not feel like they're being interrogated. Finding the problem. Your questions in step 2 should lead to step 3, which is identifying the problem. It is not enough to simply inform prospects about the product's benefits. You must understand the prospect's unique needs in order to make a sale. A successful salesperson spins each benefit the product has into an advantage tailored specifically for the prospect. Ask relevant questions, note down the responses, and refer to them later on in the conversation. The better you understand the customer's problems, the easier it will be to convince them to buy. If a customer faces multiple problems, determine which ones to prioritize while taking into consideration which ones the prospect cares about the most, and which can be solved with your product. You can present possibilities and scenarios to help customers grasp what they are missing. It's possible to provide prospects with a glimpse of what will be presented to maintain their interest while searching for the most pressing problem. The presentation. The fourth step in the process is to set up the presentation. To do this, you must get your prospect to agree with you on a couple things. After you understand the customer's problems, you need to spin them up into a scenario, implement your solution into it, and offer it back to the prospect. You could say something like, "So if you could do this one thing very fast, would you want to know how?" Once you get yes as an answer, the prospect is ready for the presentation, which is the fifth step. The presentation is a strategic tool that you can customize according to a prospect's specific problems. When you know their needs, you will be able to focus on the features of the product that address those needs. Good closers don't waste time talking about features that won't appeal to the prospect. They keep prospects engaged by highlighting the features that solve the prospect's problems. When explaining a feature, you need to clarify exactly how it would solve the problem. Prospects may not understand the technicalities of a product, but they will grasp how it would make their life easier. Getting to the close. The sixth step is paving the way for closing and making a sale. This is where you need to create a yes pattern. The yes pattern builds momentum that is hard for the prospect to resist. You simply ask questions that you know your prospect will answer affirmatively, with each question getting both of you closer to the sale. As part of this process, it's also important to let the prospect ask questions, and you should be ready to answer all of them. Doing this keeps the customers engaged and more likely to buy. After answering their questions, go back to asking your own. Once you have clearly explained your product and why it would work for a prospect's specific needs, it is time to move on to the closing. This transition should be smooth and seamless. Here, you need to look for a buying signal. This is something your prospect will say to you that will indicate that they are willing to buy. They could have an intrigued and excited reaction to your pitch, or they could show interest by asking direct and specific questions. Stay attentive at all times to what your prospect is telling you in order to spot these signals. Once you are sure that your prospect is ready to buy, you can officially move on to the closing. Closing and objections. Closing is the step in which the prospect agrees to purchase your product. There are two main components: closing the prospect on wanting the product or service, and closing the prospect on price and terms. First, a prospect agrees that your product is useful to them and lets you know directly that they want to purchase it. Second, they need to understand the pricing conditions and be willing to pay them. You should practice this part in order to be confident while delivering it. Make sure to give details about payment methods and delivery services, and ask for all billing information you may need. You need to sound friendly and confident. At this stage, you have to mention the price. If the prospect doesn't object to it, your sale is successful. However, if there is an objection, there are extra steps you need to take. This is where you need to negotiate in order to reach a compromise. You may be able to give discounts, but you must know how to strategically use them. Never offer discounts if you are not confident that the prospect wants the product. You should only do this if it is clear that the price is the only issue. Objections can arise at any stage of the sales process. Skilled closers are always prepared for objections and are trained in handling them effectively. The art of handling objections involves understanding the type of obstacle and providing suitable responses. Some objections can be disregarded, especially early on in the sales process. For example, you can disregard concerns about the economy or finances when they are brought up early on. A lot of objections can be handled by redirecting a prospect's attention towards the main benefits of the product. The more significant objections usually become clear towards the end of the presentation. Those are the ones you need to address clearly. Let the prospect express their concerns without interrupting them, and make them feel heard. Once they are done, validate their concern while also highlighting how your product is better for them in the long run. The sales team should compile a list of all the objections they run into, and note down how they successfully dealt with them. This will help the team develop the best common strategies to overcome objections. Keep in mind that sometimes the objection given is not the real reason someone doesn't want to buy. You need to dig deeper, understand the underlying reason, and address it. First, question the objection in order to understand it properly. Then isolate it and make sure you get the prospect to agree that this is the only objection they have. Finally, make a deal with the prospect that when you solve the objection, they will make a purchase. Objections are part of the sales process, and knowing how to deal with them will make you a better closer. However, always make sure you do not push too hard. Callbacks. A callback refers to the contact you make with prospects who have not yet made a purchase. In this case, the first encounter with the product did not get a prospect through the 8-step roadmap. This may happen if the prospect asks for more information, needs to ask someone else for approval, or simply if the call was interrupted. The closer should note down all the crucial details of each encounter, especially the prospect's problems and concerns. These notes will be useful when you are crafting the next call's introduction. You can also call customers back after they make a purchase to ask for their feedback and whether or not they are satisfied with their purchase. This is important to understand if there is anything you could improve about the product. The closer personality and failure. The 8-step roadmap is a key to sales success, but you also need to embody the characteristics of a closer. Not everyone possesses natural traits that are suited for the sales profession, but they can be learned. Like actors taking on different roles, being able to adopt a sales persona when needed is a valuable skill. However, good closers genuinely believe in the value of the product or service they offer and are committed to helping their prospects. They never deceive or make false claims. They approach their prospects with enthusiasm and interest. They remain positive, confident, and solution-oriented. They take initiative, possess knowledge, and collaborate effectively within a team while also being responsible for their own success. Even the most talented closers do not always make a sale, and it is important to know why. To solve the problem, salespeople should pinpoint when the process started to fail and assess their own behavior. This analysis can be done individually or with the assistance of a sales manager. There are several potential reasons for poor sales performance, including skipping a step in the process, becoming less energetic or assertive during the close, and not understanding the prospect's problems fully. This is why it is important to record interactions and use them for self-assessment and improvement. All in all, it is important to stick to the 8-step roadmap, as it is a systematic approach in which each step has a specific and crucial role. With enough practice, the steps should become natural to you. About the author. Mike Kaplan started his business career in advertising, learned from the best sales representatives, and became a top salesperson. He is now a successful author and entrepreneur. He has trained thousands of salespeople with his book and his online courses.